Wondering what to do with some of that leftover venison? Try this Venison Philly smoked sausage. Today I'm going to be walking you through a Philly cheesesteak venison smoked sausage. Now I know that was a lot to take in, but we had some extra venison in the freezer that we wanted to use up. It's already ground, so what better way to use it than to make some sausage? We're pairing this with some high-temp cheese and our number 365 Philly cheesesteak seasoning. I'm going to be using a slightly larger size casing on these sausages, which in the end is going to allow us to use this sausage in a number of different ways. So let's back up a bit and I'll show you how I got here. For our sausage, we're going to be using a combination of venison and pork. Now I had some venison already ground in my freezer and I thought no better way to use it than to make some beautiful sausage using our number 365 Philly cheesesteak brat seasoning. Now this is normally designed as a fresh bratwurst, but that doesn't mean you can't use it for other applications. For our smoked sausage, we're going to be using this seasoning, and then all we have to do is add some pink cure, and we'll be able to cure overnight for a beautiful smoked sausage tomorrow. And in a little bit, we're also going to be adding some high-temp pepper jack cheese. We all know venison is very, very lean. Now for our sausage, we want to get that fat content up probably to about 25%. We obviously are going to have to add some sort of other meat or added fat. And in this case, we're going to be using pork butt. I use pork butt for sausage all the time because the fat content is right there at about 30%. So combined with our venison, we should be right around that 20 to 25% fat for our sausage. Fat in sausage is going to do a number of things. It's going to keep our sausage juicy. It's going to give us a lot of flavor. And it's going to add a beautiful texture and bite that we're used to in a smoked sausage. So I started with about 6 pounds, almost 6 pounds of ground venison. So I just supplemented to get a full 10-pound batch with ground pork, which I use pork butt again. So we have a full 10-pound batch. Next thing we need to do is weigh out our seasoning, as these units are designed for 25 pounds of sausage. So we only need about 40% of the seasoning we have here. So let's get that weighed out and then we can start to mix. When measuring out seasoning in cases like this, I like using grams because it's a little more precise so that we get the right amount of seasoning for our meat block. So this B unit is 594 grams total. So 40% of that for our 10-pound batch is going to be 238 grams. There it is, 238 grams. We're also going to use 12 grams of speed cure for our batch, which should be perfect amount for 10 pounds. So we're going to start our mixing process pretty quick here. So we're going to get our venison into our mixing container here. Add in our pork. Yeah, you can see how lean this venison is. There's almost no fat content in there. So it's really important that we add this pork in. Now let's get our seasoning blend, our Philly cheesesteak blend in there. When I add cure to sausage, I like to dissolve it just a little bit in water. This is going to help distribute it evenly throughout the meat block so it doesn't clump up if I just try and mix it in as a powder. So I'll add this to a measuring cup. My rule of thumb for sausage is adding water or some sort of liquid at the rate of 1 ounce per pound of meat. So we're doing a 10-pound batch, so I'm going to do 10 ounces of cold water. And in we go. Make sure we get all the cure out of that measuring cup. And we're ready to mix. And when we mix, we're just going to get in there, start folding and squeezing, mixing all the meat together because we're combining the venison and the pork here. But we're also distributing that seasoning throughout the meat block, nice and even, so every bite is packed full of flavor. Has the right salt levels for our final sausage. So we're looking for protein extraction, which we're definitely there. That is nice and sticky, which means those fats and those proteins are bonding so that in the cooking process they don't separate and create fat out. We'll have a really nice tender bite for our sausage. But now we have to add our pepper jack high temp cheese. When using cheese for sausage, I like to use about a 10% inclusion rate, which means if we have a 10-pound batch, we're going to use 1 pound of cheese. Now this high temp cheese has a higher melting point so that it can withstand the smoking process and it won't melt and get gooey inside the sausage during the cooking process. That way for our final product, we'll still have little pieces of cheese all the way through. And it's going to be a really nice flavor pop and texture add. So we're going to go right in with our pound of pepper jack and get this mixed up. Now the reason I don't add it with all the rest of the seasonings is because this can kind of crumble a little bit. So we add it towards the end just to get it nice and folded in and mixed. That way we keep the structural integrity, if you will, of the cheese. All right, I think we're ready to stuff. So we're going to stuff our hopper with our meat block here. And we're going to take chunks and we're going to start by pressing the meat down in the middle of the hopper and working it out towards the walls. That way we'll eliminate as many air pockets as possible so we don't have any air in our sausage. Crank her down, and then when we feel that meat block come through our horn, we'll stop right as it gets to the edge so we can load on our casings. And there it is. Now I'm going to back off the pressure so that the sausage doesn't continue out of the horn before we load up our casings. For our casings today, we're going to be using a natural hog casing. Now this is a slightly larger diameter. This is a 35 to 38 millimeter diameter, which is going to be a little bit better for what I want. I want a sausage that I can either put on a bun, but I can also throw it on a plate with eggs in the morning. So this is going to be slightly bigger than what a normal brat would be. These have been soaking in warm water for about 45 minutes at this point. Natural hog casings are generally packed in a salt solution. We need to rinse that off because that's obviously flavor we don't want incorporated to our sausage. But we also want to soak them in warm water, which is going to make them more pliable when we're stuffing our sausage. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the end here, open it up. We're going to hold it open as we pull some more water through the casing. This is going to do a number of things. This is going to lube up our horn as the casing slides on. It's going to give the inside of our casing a final rinse. And it's going to help guide our casing and straighten it as we pull. You can see that water going through it. Okay. We're going to put a little bit of water on our countertop here so the sausage doesn't stick. We're ready to case. And kind of allow the sausage stuffer to do the work with just a little pressure around the horn as the sausage fills. Every once in a while, you get really lucky and you fit your entire meat block into one casing. Then you can look back and just be really proud. But now I gotta link these bad boys up. Got my trusty sausage pricker to eliminate air pockets. And then we're gonna let these sit in the fridge overnight to develop the cure and help those flavors distribute a little bit better. And then tomorrow, we'll smoke. Once again, we're going into the fridge overnight. This is gonna let our cure develop, let our flavors distribute, and it's also gonna dry out our casings a little bit. Now, when they dry out, they're gonna get sticky on the outside, and that's gonna be our pellicle, which is a thin layer of protein, which is gonna help insulate our sausage and help with smoke absorption. And then tomorrow is smoking day. It's smoking day, so I have our Pro Classic outside preheated to 110 degrees. That is going to be the first stage, which is our drying cycle. We're going to be looking to dry out these casings just a little bit more so that when we start the cooking process and smoking process, they will absorb smoke just that much better. We're going to start with the dampers wide open for our drying process, and then we'll close them a little bit as we add smoke because we want to control the airflow. Check the recipe for specific notes, but we're going to be using a slow incremental increase smoke schedule, which means we're going to be increasing the temperature of the smokehouse by 10 degrees every hour. Once we hit 180 degrees in the smokehouse, we're going to let it ride until we reach the internal temperature we're looking for. So I've got my smoke sticks, I've got my probe, so let's head out to the smoker. Once we reached an internal temperature of 153 degrees on our sausage, I pulled them, I let them rest for about 10 minutes, and then I dunked them in an ice bath. That ice bath is going to help with any casing shrinkage that we might have and keeping that nice crisp bite that we're looking for. It's also going to stop our cooking process by cooling it down rapidly so we don't continue to go above potentially even 160 degrees where we could have some fat separation and fat out. I did keep a few out of the ice bath so that we can taste these and see how our final sausage turned out. Well, first off, I can tell you that the color is beautiful. It's got a really rich red color, and that's both from our venison, which is very, very dark color, but it's also from our pink cure that helps with the salts and the flavors and letting us know that it is properly cured because it's nice and even throughout. We also got a little bit of a smoke ring. It's nice and firm, juicy, so let's give it a try. Yeah, these turned out great. The seasoning is really unique with the smoke flavor. Normally when you think of Philly cheesesteak, you don't think of smoke flavors, you think of the griddle, things like that. But the flavors with the sweetness of the smoke play really nicely. Along with our very rich venison, this is a really great sausage. So this sausage would be great grilled up in your backyard barbecue with some caramelized onions right there on a bun. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, you chop this up and put it in with your breakfast scramble. Either way, this is a great sausage to try. If you like this video, please click subscribe. If you want to know more about this recipe and the products I used, head to psseasoning.com for more information. And of course, you can check us out on all forms of social media. Till next time, I'm Chef Jed. Thanks for watching.